Well played, both of them. Look, if it's too early to start looking at the table and talking about the fact that they've won 3 on the bounce, it isn't too early to start talking about 3 clean sheets in a row, because if you asked almost every Liverpool fan last season, name an Achilles heel with this team, they would have mentioned the Liverpool defence.
Yeah, and there's lots of pats on the back, and in some ways maybe this is almost the perfect performance for the manager, because there's a lot for him to get his teeth into, really, in terms of it wasn't perfect, and every compartment of the team can take those plaudits, and they are doing exceptionally well. The clean sheets is one of those, but there's areas to work on.
What was not perfect then?
For me, I think they need to be. I mean, I was in a very good Arsenal team that often the order of the day was to break down a team that was well organised. And when teams go back 11 players behind the ball, you just need to be moving the ball much quicker. You need to be more patient in the build-up. It all got a little bit congested in those central areas. There's work to be done with Mane, Firmino, and Salah as well was a little bit off today, if you're being picky, but that's good for the manager because they've got to keep improving to try to win this Premier League. Yes, they're on course and they're doing exceptionally well, but there's areas that they can improve, and that's the frightening thing for the rest of the Premier League, that this lot can only get better.
And in some ways, you know, Manchester City had a similar day, but crucially they couldn't ground out the win, could they, against Wolves?
Well, no, exactly. These are important times when you're not at your real best. But just going back to the defence, I mean, there were signs last year, at the end of last season, that the defence was coming together. Yeah. Well, you can't emphasise enough how good the signing of that man that we just heard speaking, Van Dijk, has been. Not only is he brilliant himself, everyone around him has you know, gone up another level. Yeah. And then to add to that, a brilliant sign in terms of the goalkeeper, Alisson. You know, all of a sudden, right the way through the team, they just look strong now. And as we've already said, an average performance today, but a big 3 points.
It is indeed. It was a difficult one, wasn't it, really, for Brighton? Because we were saying, at what point is Chris Hughton going to go for this? When is he going to step forwards? And did they leave it too late, do you think?
You know, as we said earlier, I think it was about damage limitation for them. Big games coming up, I think Fulham next and Southampton. I think there was a little bit there for the taking, because Liverpool seemed to sort of falter, looked tired, looked a little bit loose, were giving the ball away quite simply to Brighton, but they just didn't seem to have enough in the tank. And I think maybe changes could have been made slightly earlier, because when they really went for it, Knockaert had a particularly good chance. His touch was a little bit poor, and it's that quality, isn't it, in the final third they didn't quite have today.
Well, I'm pleased to say that Jurgen Klopp joins us live from the tunnel right now. That will be an issue, though, as the games continue to come, and if they continue doing this, expectations will start to rise.
Yeah, and you can see the excitement within the manager, and he's trying to keep a lid on it. And he's got to manage his way through this, navigate it well. I think they feed off him, his energy. And in a way, we said, didn't we, that he's got a lot to get his teeth into through the week. And that it actually helps him to motivate the players. Because, you know, people get complacent and you don't know how they're going to react in life when success comes their way. And a lot of success could come this Liverpool team's way, but there's an awful long way to go. Of course, Man City have got a lot to say on that.
And he says to us, he's not looking at the table, it doesn't matter. Come on, you two both know from experience that even early on, managers are looking at the league table. Of course it matters.
Well, it obviously matters less at this stage of the season, but of course it matters, yeah. He'll be delighted with the 9 points. I know you say expectations could be rising. I think they're already risen, and they're there. People around here are expecting a big challenge this year. They were brilliant last year. Got to the final of the Champions League, had a real good season. But with those extra signings, I just think that the fans around here are expecting something big this year.
OK, well, let's have a look then at the key moment in the game. And ironically, really, Bissouma was brought into the game by Brighton to be that extra man in midfield and to shore them up, and it was his mistake. It
was Bissouma there. I think maybe he could have just laid that ball off. I thought they might have gone long in the first place. But you have to credit Milner and the way that the team then go into gear. And this fella, Salah, when he opens up his body, then after last season, you feel that's just got to be a finish, got to be a goal, and it simply was.
We spoke before the game as well about weight of pass and how it can almost send a message. You know, Firmino's literally telling him, hit this one first time. If he was worried that the defender was too close to him, he would have fizzed it into his feet and said, right, take a touch and beat him one-on-one. But he's judging that situation. He's actually played a pass to say, right, go and hit it first time, because where the angle of the ball comes, you only have to hit it naturally and the ball will spin just because of the angle of the ball. So it was just set up perfectly for a left footer like that.
Have you ever seen a striker? I mean, that's 29 goals from 29 matches he scored here at Anfield and played in. It's quite incredible. It's his own back garden, literally, and he makes it look like that. But I still feel he maybe could have had 2 or 3 goals in this game, not the one. But anyway, maybe we're nitpicking a little bit.
You a hard man to please?
Well, you've got to be. If you want to, you have to keep striving to be champions. And what pleased me watching Liverpool, there was one or two players when they had to dig in, Van Dijk particularly, who was making sure that other people around him were working hard. Milner as well is another great example. You've got to have those leaders in the pack.
OK, right, thanks for now. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we are going to hear from Chris Hughton, whose side came here and got blown away last season. It was an improvement, but no points to show for their troubles. Just a reminder, we're live here until 9 o'clock tonight. Stick around and we'll round off your footballing Saturday. See you shortly. Rated.
He is. It's a bit of a mixture there because it's about looking ahead, as we've already said, to other games, and they were nice and compact. And they will be a lot easier afternoons away from home than they were here today.
But I think that, at 5 to 5 or whatever, when he's in there talking to the players, he thinks we're going to do well to get something out of this game. In the 85th minute, when it's only 1-0 and you're pushing forwards, that's when his emotion switches.
Yeah, you think, can we nick a goal? I think that's probably the plan as well. Like, you're never going to keep Liverpool out. They're always going to score a goal, at least one here at Anfield. So, to be 1-0 down after 70-odd minutes, I wouldn't mind betting he'd probably take that, thinking, right, can we nick a point in the last 20 minutes? Now, you can say he should have done it earlier, but you try committing bodies forward against Liverpool early in the game, early in the second half.
We were talking about the 75th minute, and you were actually, Martin was saying, does he do it now? And you're like, no, you could still be beaten by 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how Chris Hughton thinks as well. I mean, he's very realistic, let's say. And, of course, Brighton had a couple of chances, so you'd say that he would be looking at it thinking, yeah, I got my tactics spot on because I stayed in the game for as long as possible, and then we took a couple of risks late on and had a couple of chances.
Knockout there. He takes the ball really well. Actually, this says a lot. Glenn Murray's tenacious, wins it back. And then it's this touch here that needs to be better. Yeah. That is not a Premier League touch. It has to be out of his feet, and then Liverpool get punished for that endeavour. So it's quality endeavour, and the quality just quite wasn't there. Certainly for Knockout, in this moment, he could have done better.
Yeah, it's a decent chance turned into a no chance at all, really. That's a good chance now. As soon as he takes that touch, leaning back, ball bouncing, man on the line, virtually impossible to score because of a really poor first touch.
And if Chris Hughton's got mixed emotions, Pascal Gross will only be thinking of that moment, won't he?
Well, I wondered there, he's almost gone for a safe header to that side of the keeper, and if he just a glancing header, maybe he gets there slightly too soon, because that side of the goal is open, the right-hand side, but Alisson there makes a wonderful save.
Steve McManaman made a good point in commentary there. He almost takes the pace off the ball with the header, doesn't he?
Yeah. Do you know, it's really interesting, though, because as a centre-forward, you can time it perfectly. If there's no one in there, you'd say he's gone too early because he gets there and he's almost has to then almost swallow his neck and head it. Whereas really you want to come meeting it. But if you don't get there early, a defender will... You almost need to get there early to get your body in the way so a defender... So now it's my ball and then you can head it. It's almost conflicting, you have to get there early sometimes to muscle your way in.
But then that compromises
the chance of getting more power on. And as it happens, probably best getting less on it and flicking it into the far corner because you can't get as much power. Once you get there early, you're never going to get power. So then you've got to go for the furthest space. OK, look, it's just been announced that Loris Karius has joined Besiktas on a 2-year loan. So he's gone. The man who's come in to replace him with Simon Mignolet as a substitute today absolutely showed what he's about, didn't he, throughout the game, whether it's decent saves or whether it's working with his feet or whether it's being extremely brave.
Well, I mean, you've got to take what comes with it with this goalkeeper for me. I mean, does he overplay? Yes, I think he probably does, but then that's what he's going to do. This one here, I think people are just steaming in on him now. He takes a bit of a liberty, gets away with it, draws the foul. This one here, I mean, he's actually come here and then he's actually started, he's patted that down. Look, this is unbelievable.
Love that.
It's Calypso stuff, isn't it?
So are you saying that you just have to back him? If this is the way he plays football, you have to allow him to be this
You do, and you hope he
goalkeeper?
gets it right. That was a heart-stopping moment, though, for his manager. And he might have a little word with him. But while he gets away with it, then he'll continue to do it. But he's just got to get the balance right.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he is in control, and he hasn't had much to do with his hands yet, has it? It's all been about his feet. I mean, he made a decent save at Palace, and then he's made a decent save there with his hands. But all that you would expect him to do.
This is the Brazilian, isn't he? Brazilian number 1 here, Mike.
Yeah.
He keeps Ederson, the Man City keeper, we talk a lot about. He's the number 1. He's the top dog. So we have to trust him.
And also, the lack of saves points to the fact that not only is he a good addition, but the back four are doing their job as well at the moment. Look, very quickly, we started the day talking about Liverpool's title chances. We've watched them now for 90 minutes. Thoughts?
Oh, they're challengers, no question about it. It's Manchester City and Liverpool. For me, one or two teams might be in it, but they're the two to beat.
Say nothing. Save your gold for Premier League tonight, because straight after the break we shall carry on. Shout hello, Steve.
Yeah, man.
Steve McManaman is in the building. See you after the break for Premier League tonight.